and snatch them away from me. Verse 29, for my Father has given them to me. I want to read that part again. For my Father has given them to me, and he is more powerful than anyone else. No one can snatch them from the Father's hand. The Father and I are one. Verse 31, once again the people picked up stones to kill him. Jesus said, at my Father's direction, I have done many good works, for which one are you going to stone me? They replied, we're stoning you not for any good work, but for blasphemy. You, a mere man, claim to be God. Jesus replied, it is written in your own scriptures that God said to certain leaders of the people, I say you are gods. Verse 35, and you know that the scriptures cannot be altered. So if those people who received God's message were called gods, why do you call it blasphemy when I say I am the Son of God? After all, the Father set me apart and sent me into the world. Verse 37, don't believe me unless I carry out my Father's work. But if I do his work, believe in the evidence of the miraculous works I have done, even if you don't believe me. Then you will know and understand that the Father is in me and I am in the Father. Verse 39, once again they tried to arrest him, but he got away and left them. He went beyond the Jordan River near the place where John was first baptizing and stayed there a while, and many followed him. John didn't perform miraculous signs, they remarked to one another, but everything he said about this man has come true. The last verse, 42, is our key verse. We have to read it. And many who were there believed in Jesus. I'm going to read that one again. And many who were there believed in Jesus. I don't know if you could give this Father's Day message a title or not, but I simply entitled it Believing Fathers. Because I think this whole scripture that we've read is saying something about fathers, or something to fathers, or something for us as fathers to take with us out into the world, that the world might see we are believing fathers. That last scripture that we read said that many who were there believed in Jesus. And I think that's important. What does the world need now? It needs many, many more people believing in Jesus. And it really needs many, many more fathers who are believing in Jesus. I couldn't help but notice that sign outside the church that said, Happy Father's Day. Come as you are. We would like all the fathers in this whole countryside to come worship with us, especially on Father's Day, right? That they might have a happy Father's Day to start with. Notice when we started this scripture, it said, now it was winter. It was now winter. I don't think it's winter now, is it? Far from it, right? But you know, it seems like we get stocked with a few days of hot summer weather, and we're ready for winter. So I thought that might interest all of us this morning in thinking, boy, you know, winter's not too far off. I'll be glad when it gets here. So I thought, well, that was a good scripture to start out with. Now it is winter. But that's not the key to this whole scripture. The key is that someone began to ask Jesus, if you are the Messiah, the promised one, tell us now, tell us plainly. I guess we could change that around and say, if you are a father, stand up and tell us that you are a father so that we know. Tell us plainly, they said. And what did Jesus say? He said, I've already told you, and you don't believe me. How many times do you have to tell someone that you're a Christian? I always like to have the fathers to stand up. And then I always like to give the fathers who are in church, because they are Christian fathers. If they weren't Christian fathers, they probably wouldn't be in church, right? On Father's Day. So fathers that are here this morning, those of you that stood up as fathers, pat yourself on the back, because you ought to be proud of the fact that you were in the house of the Lord on Father's Day. Not only because you are a father, but because you are a follower of Jesus. Jesus said, I told you, and you don't believe me. The law says, what does the law say? If you look in Deuteronomy, it says that you have to have at least 2 to 3 witnesses to verify the fact. Have you ever thought that to be a father you had to have a witness? Well, Jesus said, God is my witness. When I say that I am the Son of God, God is my witness. You know, the court of law says you have to have a witness. It's hard to get anything across that you're trying to prove unless you have a witness. Are you a father? How many of you this morning who are fathers had one of your children to call you or to come by and say Happy Father's Day? Okay. How about you, Wayne?
What?
Did you have one of your children come by and say have a Happy Father's Day?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't help but see Nelson pat Savannah on the head. Makes me think of the commercial I saw just this past week. Maybe you saw it too. This man was standing at the sink, and he was filling up his coffee cup. And he happened to notice his daughter, of course, was sitting at the table. I think she might have been eating a bowl of cereal, I'm not sure. But then he saw the cup sitting there on the counter by the coffee pot. His daughter had made him a cup. She had it decorated and it said Dad on it, you know. And so he poured his coffee out into that cup. I poured it out there, but he poured it out into that cup. And he set his coffee cup down. I believe he was getting ready to go to work because it was a stainless steel cup, if I remember right. And so then he turned around and he sat down at the table by his daughter. And she looked over and she saw that Dad was drinking out of the cup that she had made for him that said Dad on it, you know. Now the cup, I don't know if a lot of dads would have done that in that kind of cup. It wasn't one like this. It was a fancy cup and it was all decorated with flowers, something that a young girl would do. But it had Dad on it, you know. And so when he sat down and started drinking out of that cup, she turned to look at him and got the biggest, beautiful smile on her face. Nothing else had to be said. Dad knew that he was loved by his children. And his child knew that her dad loved her. Love is one of the most important things the world needs today. The world needs fathers who love their children. Look at verse 29.